Coming up in the April 6th edition of Sports Extra, he's back. Brice Johnson isn't going anywhere. We discuss what it means for next season.
Blacks has been on an absolute tear through the competition. We look at their weekend and what makes the team such a powerhouse.
And there are three things we love here on Sports Extra: the Tar Heels, America, and going fast. And nothing better represents that than this Carolina Blue Ricky Bobby. All that and more, Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics, this is Sports Extra.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Critics call it the best 30 minutes of television since the Friends series finale. That's right, it's Sports Extra.
He's Luis Fernandez, and I'm Elena Albrecht, and boy, do we have a show for you. Make sure your DVRs are set, because this is one you're going to want to watch over and over again. Isn't that right, Luis?
Oh, for sure, Elena. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
He's back, and no, we don't mean Dark Lord Voldemort. Brice Johnson is returning to Carolina for his senior year. Inside Carolina was the first to report the news. The junior forward averaged 12.9 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 100 earth-shattering screams per game. ESPN had Johnson projected as second-round pick. First-year Justin Jackson said in late March he'll be returning as well. All that's really left to hear is an official announcement from Marcus Page saying he's returning to Chapel Hill.
So the national championship game is set, and we have a former champion with some thoughts about tonight's game. That's right, former Lincolnton Optimist champion Brett Thompson is live at Duke. Brett, what are you doing over there?
Why wouldn't I want to be here at Duke University? It's time for the national championship. The Duke Blue Devils, the Wisconsin Badgers. It was set up by a pair of great games Saturday night. You had Duke blowing out Michigan State by 20. You had Wisconsin putting the one in 38-1. I can't wait. And speaking of good matchups, let's talk about a great matchup within the game. Two stars, well, they're not the superstars, but they're still big players. Justice Winslow, he's a freshman for Duke. He's been playing lights out all year, but especially in the NCAA tournament. He's averaging 15 points per game. He's also shooting over 50%. He's been great defensively. He's been great on the offense. He's going to be a big part of this Duke team trying to win a national championship. But Winslow is not the only player who's played second banana to a big man this year. Let's talk about Sam Decker, the junior for Wisconsin, averaging over 20 points per game, shooting over 60%. He's been clutch all year. He hit big shots against North Carolina. He hit big shots against Arizona, and then he hit the step back three to put the Badgers ahead of Kentucky in the Final Four. So, and you know what? It's the NCAA tournament. It's a 1-versus-1 matchup. It's interesting. Coach K is 0-3 in his one season in the national final. That includes 1999 when he played a 1-versus-1 matchup where the Duke Blue Devils lost to UConn. So, that being said, I think it's time to make a prediction. I'm here at Duke right now. The Blue Devils look great. A few minutes from now, we're going to have fans packing Cameron Indoor Stadium to watch this game. That being said, I still have to pick the Wisconsin Badgers. It's not a popular decision around here, but you know what? I think Frank Kaminsky's going to stretch Jahlil Okafor out to the perimeter. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Duke, and I think Wisconsin's going to bring gold back to the land of Chiefs. Before they start forming a mob here in Durham, I'm going to send it back to you guys in Chapel Hill.
Well, Brett Thompson live at Duke University, where Devils fans hope their team will wrap up a national title tonight in Indianapolis. We just hope that Brett makes it back here alive. Thanks, Brett. Now, unfortunately, the Carolina players have some extra time on their hands these days, but have you ever wondered what the guys do when they're not on the court? Reporter Lucero Cifuentes finds out.
Carolina basketball's legend, Derry. With 5 national championships, 29 ACC championships, and 17 current NBA players, it's easy to see players like Marcus Page as celebrities on campus. But some of the players' closest friends want the student body to know that at the end of the day, Roy's boys are Carolina students, just like us. Junior Taylor Sharp met Carolina basketball players Marcus Page and Brice Johnson when he worked Coach Williams' basketball camp in 2012. 3 years later, they're roommates and best friends.
And over the years, I guess we developed a stronger relationship as time went on. Definitely have some of my best memories with a lot of the guys on our basketball team now.
Basketball assistant strength and conditioning coach James Askew has a similar sentiment.
Honestly, I think they want to be viewed and treated as regular college students, and once you get to know them, you kind of see them as that. I don't even view them as any different from any of my other friends now.
We constantly see the guys doing formal interviews and killing it on the court, but surely they have some quirks, right? Sharp gives us the inside scoop.
Within our apartment, Brice cooks for us every now and then. We always try to have family dinner nights. Brice brings his grandma's spaghetti recipe out. That's his specialty. We have a Nerf basketball goal in our kitchen. You'll see us playing horse or having little dunk competitions on the Nerf basketball goal.
Boys will be boys. Despite their campus fame, the Tar Heel basketball players cook, eat, study, and spend time with friends like any other college student. In Chapel Hill, I'm Lucero Cifuentes, reporting.
The guys described JP Tokto as the prankster of the team and Joel James as the big teddy bear. Never would have guessed that.
Well, when the national championship game ends tonight, the NCAA and member schools will start counting the $750 million in rights fees the tournament generated. Kristen Lee joins us now in our satellite studio. Kristen, many people are saying the players deserve a cut of that action.
Alana, some of those same critics are saying they're especially troubled by the amount of time put in by athletes of revenue sports. That's even though the NCAA has a rule limiting time spent on athletics to 20 hours per week.
UNC junior Houston Summers is the incoming student body president, a full-time student, and a member of the track and field team.
Yeah, it definitely is a full-time job.
It's a job, he says, comes with a lot of pressure. Former sports marketing executive Sonny Vaccaro says for some student athletes, the balance isn't manageable.
Somewhere you're going to get mixed up whether you got to go to a science class or you got to lift weights.
He's not alone. A coalition of professors fighting for what it calls athletes' rights says the NCAA needs to consider some adjustments to its rule book.
If you see an injustice, going back to John Kennedy, you have an obligation to speak out and to work to correct those social injustices that are in place.
Attorney Bob Orr is representing two former UNC student athletes in a lawsuit against UNC and the NCAA.
There are so many loopholes in the 20-hour requirement that it's like a piece of Swiss cheese.
In the lawsuit, Rashonda McCants and Devin Ramsey argue that UNC advisors guided them to fraudulent classes to help relieve academic pressure. According to the lawsuit, loopholes in the 20-hour rule allowed this to happen.
Everybody knows that they spend 40 to 60 hours a week, not 20.
According to the NCAA website, the 20-hour rule limits the time students spend on athletics to 20 hours per week in season and 8 hours per week during the off-season. But there are activities that don't count toward the limit, such as travel to and from competitions and training or meetings initiated by students rather than coaches. The NCAA conducted a study in 2011 asking student athletes how much time they spend on athletics. Athletes of revenue-generating sports such as football and basketball responded with between 39 and 43 hours per week. That amount of time has some wondering why athletes can't enroll in a lighter academic load.
Why do college athletes have to be full-time students?
They can't possibly get their degree in the period of time that they're telling you that you can get the degree. It's impossible.
Southall says the one-size-fits-all model of the current NCAA rulebook is flawed, and the coalition wants the NC2A to consider the needs of individual athletes. Alana, we reached out to the NCAA for comment about the 20-hour rule. So far, we have not gotten a response.
Kristen, is there anything at UNC to help student athletes balance time between academics and athletics?
When we spoke with Houston Summers, who you heard from at the beginning of that story, he told us there are support systems in place to help athletes with time management.
That was Kristen Lee live in our satellite studio. Thanks, Kristen. The Sports Xtra bracket pool just got even more interesting this week as Duke ran over Michigan State and Wisconsin ended Kentucky's perfect season. Amanda Lee and, oh, yep, that's me, Elena Albrecht. We are tied for first. The two brackets are in the 88th percentile. Whew, looking good. Morgan Ammons and Caleb Waters are tied for third. Better luck next time. They're in the 74th percentile. 3 of those 4 have Kentucky winning it all, and Caleb, the diehard, has UNC as his champ. The big dance might have ended for Carolina basketball, but UNC's dance team is still hot in its season. Our Jasmine Cornwell has more.
The Carolina dance team is front and center at every home football and basketball game, but the routines don't stop there. The 22 dancers have been vigorously practicing 2 dances, one contemporary and one hip-hop number, to perform for the Nationals dance competition at Daytona Beach, Florida this weekend. One of the senior captains, Haley Salido, says a lot of hard work goes into preparing for Nationals.
Come January, we start choreography and focusing more on like the technical aspects, and then we kind of, we go into basketball season and let that phase out, and then we really concentrate on it.
The long practices sure do pay off. Competing against multiple other teams, the UNC dance team placed 5th in the Open Division last year. The team hopes to do even better next round with unique choreography created by some of the team members.
For our Open dance this year, we actually self-choreographed, and it was a junior and a sophomore that did the choreography for us, who do work at other studios as well. And then for our hip-hop, we had someone named Cassandra Pappy come in, and she's from Durham, so some people might know her from local areas.
While dance is a team sport, Jasmine Neely has goals of her own. As a junior, Neely will be a senior team leader next year.
My personal goal is to at least make it to finals in hip hop and Open, and to set even a higher standard next year.
The dance team is more than just a handful of pom-poms and pirouettes. In Chapel Hill, I'm Jasmine Cornwell reporting.
As many as 30 teams will be vying for the title. A win would be UNC's first.
The football team continues its spring practice session and has made some major adjustments. Marquise Williams is out for the rest of the spring practice as he's still nursing a hip injury he suffered during the season. Mitch Trubisky will be taking the first team reps. Can you say quarterback controversy? Psych, I'm just joking. Sophomore tackle Bentley Spain has made an impression on the coaching staff and is now the starting left tackle. Wow. Both Spain and Trubisky will have a big opportunity to press in the spring game in Charlotte this Sunday. Both lacrosse teams have been on an absolute tear as of late.
With just 2 games left this season for each team.
Can the Heels keep it up and push through the postseason? We'll find out next on Sports Extra. Coming off of a solid win against Elon, the Diamond Heels headed down to Clemson this weekend for a 3-game series against the Tigers. Despite Landon Lassiter's best efforts, Carolina never led in a 5-2 loss on Friday. The junior outfielder was 3 for 3 with an RBI, and Game 2 was a heartbreaker. UNC led 4-2 going into the bottom of the 11th inning, but the Heels bullpen allowed 3 runs. Heels lose 5-4. However, ace Benton Moss salvaged the series finale for Carolina, moving to 5-0 on the season in an 8-7 victory. Tyler Ramirez went 3 for 5 and hit his 4th home run of the year. While the Diamond Heels came into the season with their sights on a championship, UNC has struggled so far, going just 18-13. But all is not lost for Carolina. The Heels play just one nationally ranked opponent the rest of the season. Wow, that's number 16, the Virginia Cavaliers. That series will be in May at Boshamer Stadium, and the friendly confines will be a common theme for the rest of the year. Carolina plays 17 of its last 24 games at the Bosh, including a 7-game homestand, which starts Tuesday against Coastal Carolina.
The men's lacrosse team traveled to Virginia this weekend to take on the number 6 Cavaliers in an ACC matchup. Jimmy Bitter capitalizes on a UVA penalty early in the first quarter with a long shot from downtown. Luke Goldstock keeps the trend going and pops one behind the goalkeeper. The defense stepped up and made some big offensive plays. From the back, here's long pole Ryan Kilpatrick with an assist to Joey Sankey for the goal. But Sankey isn't done yet. He has 3 goals in the second half, including that mid-air shot. Here it is again. Hello! Heels win 10-6. Carolina takes on Syracuse Saturday, hoping to extend a record 13-match home winning streak. The Heels left their mark against the Louisville Cardinals this weekend, 18 marks to be exact. That's right, the number 2 Heels finished with a huge 18-5 win over the number 10 Cardinals. Sophomore attacker Molly Hendrick scored a career high of 5 goals, ripping shots directly over the goalie's head. Junior attacker Sammy Jo Tracy also played strong, firing multiple shots that led to 2 goals. Tar Heels outshot the Cardinals 28-18 and improved to 11-2 overall. They will host their final regular season game on Saturday against Syracuse.
One injury is enough to discourage any athlete, but this Tar Heel is still chasing his dreams after being injured 5 times. Brice Cox has the story.
Nyambi Jabang scored his first collegiate goal in September. He was fresh off of injury and things were looking up for him. But then it happened again. Another injury. Jabang has spent more of his 3 years at UNC in the training room than on the field of competition. His road to recovery started his sophomore year in high school when he tore his ACL for the first time. Since then, he has suffered 4 additional injuries, a torn meniscus, fractured tibia, and 2 more torn ACLs. But he's still fighting to get back to the field.
People telling me about is it the smart thing to do, but for me, I mean, I can't wait too far to just make a decision right now. So I'm gonna go rehabbing and then go from there.
Jabang grew up in Africa playing with men twice his size. He was projected to be one of the best recruits for the team, but knows the injuries have minimized his worth.
It's tough. It's all mental. I mean, it's watching them do while you are here. I mean, going through all the stuff you've been through, that I'm going through right now, and then while it's all the friends and players getting better.
But 3 torn ACLs isn't enough to stop Jabang.
Yeah, I can't wait too far to just make a decision, so I'm still with my goals that I came in here with.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Brice Cox reporting.
Jabang is still holding on to his dreams of playing pro soccer when his time at UNC is up. He's currently in rehab and plans to return to the pitch for the 2015 soccer season.
The softball team traveled to Syracuse to take on the Orange this weekend. Carolina stumbled early, losing the first game 4-2 while getting only 3 hits, 2 of those being Taylor Wyke home runs. The Tar Heels were jazzed up in the second game and scored 5 runs in the last 2 innings to win 6-2. Inclement weather brought the series to a close after just 2 games. UNC returns to action Wednesday night at home against Longwood. Corey Natatorium is home to more than just UNC's swimming and diving teams. Another dominant and unique club owns that pool. Paul Beam has more.
Elements of other sports to form one of the more physically demanding challenges out there.
Some people don't know the pool is 12 feet deep. You're not allowed to touch the bottom during a game. And you get timeouts like regular sports, but they don't happen too often. So you got to be treading water for 4 8-minute quarters at a time. And then sprinting back and forth as well. It can get tiring.
A sport like water polo seems like it takes a lot of coordination to play at a high level. That's why the most shocking fact about the team is there's no coach. Scenes like this are common at the practices, where the players in the water are player coaches.
We can scrimmage more if we want to scrimmage more. We can play games if we want to do that. But it kind of does lack structure, and I feel like if we want to step up and get better, it'll take a coach to staying out of the water, letting everyone know what we're doing instead of having people in the water try and take control.
A team with no coach needs a strong leader for a captain. Team captain Daniel Wilco explained that's a challenge he enjoys.
It's taking a lot of guys from varying skill levels and trying to put them through the same drills and get them on the same playing level so we can compete with everyone else. And it's a challenge sometimes, but I like it.
Seems like they're doing just fine on their own. In Chapel Hill, I'm Paul Beam, reporting.
The team was busy this weekend hosting the 27th annual Tar Heel Invitational. The Heels defeated all 3 of their opponents in convincing fashion. Men's tennis played Notre Dame and Boston College this weekend. Things didn't go well for the 2 parochial schools.
Let's just say the Tar Heels kicked some ass. Next on Sports Extra. UNC's women's tennis team headed down south and swept its way through the state of Florida this past weekend. The team took on FSU on Thursday, fighting off the Seminoles 5-2. Then this weekend, the Heels continued their 23-game win streak with a victory against Miami, calming the Canes 5-2. Carolina is ranked number 2 in the nation with an undefeated season thus far. Hoping to keep their spotless record, the Tar Heels will face UVA at home this Friday at 3 p.m.
The university was on holiday Friday, but someone forgot to tell the men's tennis team. The 19th-ranked Tar Heels took on Boston College on Friday. In doubles, Espen Hess-Olesen and Oystein Styro showed off their telepathic teamwork, but coach Sam Paul still had some advice to give. The Heels continued their dominance in singles play with Braden Schnurr returning after a 7-match absence due to injury. Schnurr looked perfectly healthy on this athletic save. The Heels won 7-0. The Heels hosted Notre Dame on Sunday and took the doubles point with junior Brett Clark and his partner freshman Robert Kelly, and partners Jack Murray and Ronnie Schneider closing the deal. In singles, Schneider was one of 4 victorious Heels. Carolina wins 5-2 and improves to 16-8. The men will return Thursday to play Duke.
The women's golf team traveled to Greensboro to participate in the Bryan Park National Collegiate. It was a windy weekend, and that drove a wedge in Carolina's plans. In all 3 rounds combined, the Heels shot 70 over par, which placed them 14th out of 18 teams. Lexi Harkins was the top performer for UNC, shooting 14 over par, good enough for 31st place. Carolina returns to action April 17th at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro.
Smart, fast, physical, with an emphasis on the fast.
Time to get ready to speed up, because if you ain't first, you last. See you after this commercial break. Slingshot, engaged.
Carolina student athletes participate in a wide range of sports.
If you like speed, hot, nasty speed, Maggie Miller says we can add one more to the list.
Get ready to shake
and bake.
Did you ever think that the person sitting next to you in class could be a professional race car driver? Me either. I caught up with Ben Albano to learn more about life in the fast lane.
It's basically a street car that you could buy at a dealership right now turned into a race car is what I drive. The tracks, instead of NASCAR where you're racing in an oval, it's tracks that have left and right turns.
Like me, you might be wondering how someone gets into this sport in the first place.
Basically, I lived in England for a year and I fell in love with cars and racing and started go-karts when I was little and then gradually moved up to racing full-size cars.
Albano and spectators alike know that a sport with such intensity and speed comes with inherent risks.
Crashing, unfortunately, kind of comes with the territory of racing cars, and you try to limit it as much as possible, but again, racing is something you can't really control 100% of the time.
But he's not just focused on the road. Albano has to make sure he doesn't crash and burn in school.
Juggling racing and school is definitely difficult, but I know that school always comes first, and racing is something that I want to do, but I always have to put in my schoolwork before I go on the track.
Even though school is his top priority, Albano has racked up enough trophies to make even Ricky Bobby jealous.
I think the motto, if you ain't first, you're last, is kind of sad but true. I'm very competitive and I always beat myself up when I'm not first. But at the same time, in the series that I'm racing in, you have to be putting in at least podium finishes every weekend, and some weekends you're not going to get the win, but it's not about the immediate win of that specific race, it's about winning the entire championship.
For Albano, racing isn't just a sport, it's a lifestyle. In Chapel Hill, I'm Maggie Miller, reporting.
Elena, what's the fastest you've ever gone?
Well, my 84 Mustang won't go over 75 miles an hour, Lewis.
Well, you know what? I like to drive a dangerous 35 miles an hour. Mom, that does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Good night. Thanks for watching.